Hello, it's me.
It's me.
Okay, ladies and gents, prepare yourself. This is gonna be a longer video than usual.
So sit back, get a beer, a wine, a coffee,
Chocolate milk,
whatever, get your feet up. This is going to be a long one, but it's going to be worth it. There's so much information that we need to put in and so much important stuff that we can't skip.
and you never know when you'll need it.
Exactly. So please try not skip over because parts won't make sense and everything adds up. Just sit, press play, enjoy.
Let's get to in the nitty gritty, all the details.
All the gossip.
You'll get to know it all. Stuff we might not have even told anyone, but
Facts.
it's all the details. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This is such a highly requested video. We get asked all the time, how did you guys meet? How did Brandy end up here? Why is there a Floridian living in Scotland? All the questions, people are so curious. So this video is for you if you have always wondered.
And we're going to answer as much as we can. Bill's like,
I'm sick of hearing
I've
this
heard
story.
this story a million times. Shut up. So anytime that I'm out at gigs, at shows, whatever it is, with Brandy or without Brandy, I always get asked, how did we meet? So I'm going to tell my side of the story, how we met, and then we'll just make it into one big story, basically. So what happened was I was in a long-term relationship. I came out of that relationship and I was looking for something new, fresh, exciting, kind of like just a restart in life. But I got offered an opportunity to go and sing on a cruise ship in Florida. And at the time I was like, oh, I don't know if it's for me. At the time as well, they offered me 8 months, which was a long time. I had shows obviously booked up the rest of the year. And basically I just decided to go for it after speaking to my parents, my family. They're like, look, it's an opportunity of a lifetime, go and take it. But leading up to going on the cruise ship, I got 4 weeks notice. They told me you have 4 weeks to pack up everything and be in rehearsals in Miami in 4 weeks. I was like, okay, it's possible. As well, I had to go down to London to get a visa application down to the London embassy and ask me why I was going to work there and loads of stuff. Also had to get a medical as well because of my heart condition, obviously because I was going to work in different countries at the time. When I got to Miami, I also had to learn like 200 songs within a month with a full band who I've never played with before, and I've never met any of these people. And that's basically how I got the job of getting on the cruise. Now Brandy's probably next to tell a bit of her story.
Well, he was working on the cruise at that point. He went on the ship in November. The beginning of November, because you celebrated your birthday.
Yeah, it was.
So the beginning of November, he actually got onto the ship. And at this time, I had like just got out of it, like as well, like a serious relationship, the same as Nikki, and I was just kind of like trying to figure out where I wanted to be in life and like what my actual passions were. And me and my mom just kind of like did a little bit of traveling. Like we went on like a cruise together and like it was kind of like, I don't know, just adventuring, I guess. Just trying to find myself. Yeah, just trying to find myself. And me and my mom went on the cruise. I was like, ooh, I like that. Like I love cruises. So then I was a bartender at the time. I was a bartender for 5 years back home, and one night I was just doing a typical bar shift with like my girlfriends. They were all going on a cruise together. It was like 3 of them. And they like grew up together. So they were like lifelong friends as well as like workmates. One of the girls backed out, so there was an extra ticket and it was already paid for and everything. And me and my friend Cassidy, who both weren't supposed to be going on the cruise, were like, oh my God, we want to go. So it was Casey and Lyric that were going, and the last ticket that was like up for grabs was either going to go to me and Cassidy. So Casey put both of our names in a hat.
This is crazy. Put both of their names in a hat randomly just to draw it. And
picked my name to go on this cruise, like for free. So I was like, okay. And by the way, this was 6 days before the cruise. and we weren't even sure if like we were gonna be able like to change the name over, but we were like, whatever, we're gonna try. So I was like, okay, guess I'm going on a cruise, guess I'm going to Mexico. Everything worked out perfectly, no issues whatsoever. And we went on the cruise and we partied and had so much fun, and it was I think a 5-day cruise. It was
Grand Cayman, Cozumel, and then back.
We go, we're having fun. Every single night we end up in the casino bar, which is where Nikki plays. Like the party,
it's the place to be.
It's the party spot. So so we end up there, and on the last night of the cruise, we're like, okay, where's the party at? Like, we aren't going to bed. We're gonna stay up and party all night. Like, let's figure it out. So after dancing and Nikki's set, and everyone was done for the night.
I was actually finished for the night, and I seen like Brandy and a bunch of friends like coming and going and dancing and whatever, but nothing like, she wasn't like giving me the look. So anyways, I was like, oh,
because
whatever.
we were all like, me and all my girlfriends, we were all like newly single, and we were like, screw boys, like we don't care about boys, whatever. So we were not interested.
Girl code for life.
Yeah, so we were not interested at all.
I was finished for the night, and I was walking to the crew bar to go and get a drink after work. As I'm walking to there through the actual casino, Brandy and one of her friends was walking towards me. Obviously they were drunk, and she stopped me. She's like, oh, you were great, the band's so good. She's like, where's the party now? And I was like, I don't know,
but I'm going to the crew bar.
I said, I'm going to the crew bar, like, yous are like 10 drinks in front of me, goodbye. But it wasn't really a goodbye, it was kind of like,
we just kept talking.
I know, we just kept talking and talking. And before you know it, I missed the crew bar because I sat and spoke to like Brandy for like over an hour and a half. Everyone was in their bed, and then you just get me and Brandy just like chatting. But it was like a wee bit flirtatious, but it wasn't like full on, you know?
Yeah, and then you asked me for my Instagram. And I don't know why I did this. I don't know why.
The old faithful DMs.
But I gave him my work's Instagram.
Oh.
I don't know why I did. Looking back, I don't know why I did this. But he ended up like finding my Instagram through my work's Instagram.
I don't know how. I did a bit of like FBI digging. And Brandy's work is basically like, it's like Hooters, but
better.
But better. That is true. They wear like the nice tight outfits. Their bums are out, nice tight shorts.
Not completely out.
But they look good. Everybody in the movies.
You wear shorts and then you have your tights on, so everything looks fake anyways.
Aye.
I'll try and I'll put a picture here of what my work uniform looked like. So he ended up DMing me after I left the ship, after talking all night. So the next day he DMs me and
we didn't kiss the first night?
No, we didn't.
No.
So he DM'd me and was like, missing the cruise already, because I had posted like a video like leaving the ship with like my suitcase or something. And I was like, oh yeah, I like didn't want to leave. And he's like,
course.
And then I was like, if you're ever around Tampa, I'll show you around.
Because what happens is the ship always goes back to Tampa. Tampa's a port, and Brandy only lives like 45 minutes from there. So, lived. Not anymore. But she only lived 45 minutes from the port, so I knew that it would be easy enough for her to come pick me up and show me around.
So, then...
She wanted to more and show me around.
So then, like a week later, we had set up that I'm going to pick him up. So he would either come in every Monday or Thursday, or every Monday and Saturday, but it was all right. It was always a Monday.
Something like that. Anyway.
Something like that. The first week, we're like, okay, just like he's like, come pick me up. Like I think it was like Thursday, and he's like, just come pick me up at the port at like 9 o'clock, and I was like, okay. So I didn't hear from him like the night before, and I was like, oh.
I was drinking. And
I was like, oh, whatever. I'm not really bothered about it. Whatever. So I just left it and never messaged him, and he was like, oh, thanks for coming to get me. And I was like, you never messaged me. I wasn't just gonna show up and be like, hey, I'm outside. So I just left it. So we're like, okay, whatever, we'll do it again. And he's like, just show up this time. And I'm like, maybe text me.
But see, like getting off the cruise ship, so the cruise arrives at like 8 o'clock in the morning, but you have to be back on board for 3. So, and when you go off, you have to go through security, get your like thing stamped to say as a crew member you're off. They tell you like you need to be back for 3, so it's like a process. It's not just you step off the shipment, whatever, you know.
The first date, it was like the second week after we had met, but we talked pretty much every day, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so I went and I picked him up. For a time frame, this was like the end of January, beginning of February.
Yeah. Basically, we went the first date. Brandy organised it. We went to this really fancy place called American Social, and I'll never forget. It was in like this really nice like housing area, and there were speed bumps. But she was that nervous. I swear she nearly killed me on the first date. She was driving and she's like talking, like laughing and joking, and the car just went like that. Boom. And I looked and she's like,
I just laughed and I was like,
and she went red like a lobster, and she's like,
this is when like my panic attacks had like first started though, and he didn't even know. Because actually the first panic attack I ever took was on that cruise. That's a different part of the story, but the first panic attack I ever took, and I had to get like, we were like in Grand Caymans, I had to get like wheelchair back onto the ship because I thought I was dying. So that was fun. So this is 2 weeks later, and I'm like not claustrophobic at all. So like to get to this restaurant, you have to go like underground to go to a parking garage. And I actually almost took a panic attack, but I was like, that would be so embarrassing. I'm like on a first date. Yeah, I did. He didn't even know. But we literally talked about
everything.
Everything.
Like family, brothers, sisters, everything you could, like just everything.
Yeah.
Like the whole conversation.
And there was never like, once we like sat and got talking, there was like no nerves there. Like it just flowed. And
it wasn't like awkward, like you're finding stuff to say. It was really hard for me, and still is, like sometimes is like with my accent, that it's so strong. When we first met, like I could have said to Brandy, I'm gonna kill you in your sleep, and she'd been like, yeah. Like, so
no, there was like a running joke with us where like I'd always be like, what'd you say? And he'd always be like, what'd you say?
It used to be so annoying. She never ever understood me. So basically, long story short, with the date, we went back to the cruise ship because I had to be back on board within like 30 minutes. It was like 2:30. This part is really funny, but it's really embarrassing. I'm like, okay, so like, bye. So like, I go, wait, bye. And this is the only point it was awkward. So I go like, oh, bye, like, give her a hug like that. And then I'm like, oh, I was like, fuck it, I'll just kiss her. So I give Brandy a kiss, and then I like go to like, like whatever. I was like a 2-year-old kissing.
So he just like did a quick kiss, and then he went to pull away, and I was like, no, his shirt.
I'm like, wow, I like this. Aye, she nearly choked me. So then I'm like, okay, so we kiss again, and I'm like, right, bye. And I get out the car, and as I go to close the door, I go, bye, love you, and close the door and walk away.
And I'm like,
so I'm walking away back to the cruise ship going, I just says to her, bye, love you. On the first date, we don't even know each other. And I just said, bye, love you.
I called my sister and I was like, Kaylee, I'm like, he just told me he loved me. And she's like, what was the context? And I was like, we were saying bye, and he said, bye, love you, and shut the door. And she's like, I don't know, maybe that's what they do in Europe.
So I was walking back to the ship going, I just said, bye, love you. I'm like, that's it. And you know, for months and months and months and months, nothing gets said, and then one time, like after like comfortable with each other, Brandy brought it up.
Like no, I think I was like already in Scotland at this point, and I was like,
she was like,
first date.
Remember the first date you said bye, I love you, and I was like, oh my god. Oh.
So then we just continued to talk and go on dates, and we would do that like once a week. I'd go to the port, pick him up, and then he ended up going on dry dock, so he came home for a little bit. But this time we were actually like, we weren't serious, so we were still like seeing other people and doing all that.
Nothing was ever set in stone.
No, because we didn't know what we were doing.
I know, and like realistically, you're like, Florida, Scotland, it's like, how's that ever
honestly
gonna work?
I never even thought about it. Like I was just like, whatever, like,
yeah,
we're just having fun. Like we really didn't think anything
we never
serious.
Thought anything, we never thought,
talked
like,
about it either,
deep into it, no.
But we would like just flirt. It was just very flirty.
And by the way, she works like 12-hour shifts or whatever it was. She'd wake up at 6 in the morning, be ready for 8, drive 45 minutes to pick me up from the port, drive me around town, we'll go on dates, she'll drop me back off, she'll then drive back home 45 minutes.
No, when I dropped you off, I would always have my uniform and stuff in the car. And then I'd rush to work, get dressed, get ready, and then work till like 1 in the morning. And then she'll work till like 1 in the morning, and she would do that. And I never knew, like, I knew like she'd work, but like after like I got to visit where her family live and stuff, like I noticed how much effort she put into this relationship. Then after like going on loads of dates, whatever, we kind of were like, okay, we were like really starting to like each other. Didn't really know where this was even gonna go, but me and my mom had been talking about doing another cruise. So me and my mom were out one night with her best friend, whose name is Shelly. Well, me and my mom and Shelly were like, oh my god, like talking about how I met Nikki and stuff, and we were like, we really want to go on another cruise, like fuck it, let's just go on this cruise again. So we were talking, my mom had to like make sure she got the time off of work. We ended up telling my aunt Tina, who I'm like really close with, my mom's sister. So all 4 of us were gonna go on another cruise. My mom needed to make sure she could get the time off of work. They all could get the time off work, whatever. So then my mom calls me when I was at work one day and is like, we're going on a cruise, like, bitch, pack up, like we're going. So we book it, like right then. I'm at work, like in the break room, and I'm like, we're booking it. So then I think that was like, it was like 20 days in advance or something. So I called Nikki and I was like, I have a surprise. And I'm like, I'm coming back on the cruise. And he was like, no way.
Brandy made it out to me that she booked this cruise.
Like we already wanted to.
Like she booked this cruise like a year before I was even on the cruise ship. She was making out that she wasn't coming back on to visit me. She booked this before. I had to play it cool. So, but I knew in the back of my head, she just went and booked it because she wanted to see me again. And I was like, okay.
We literally would like wake up every day and be like, 15 more days, 14 more days.
It was like being
Christmas coming.
Yeah, being like 5 years old again, and Santa's coming and you're just counting down the days. Also, I need to add in as well, because I was a crew member at the time and Brandy was a guest, it's against the policy of the company for crew members and guests to, I don't want to use the word hook up, but to be seen flirting or having any sexual interaction with guests, because you're there to do a job and they're guests that are on this cruise. So if you get caught doing that or you do it, there is a high potential that you do lose your job. So I knew that Brandy was coming on the cruise, but at the same time in the back of my mind, I had to remember that this is my job and I can't be seen to do anything, because all the people that work in the cruise all walk around, and there's people like security and stuff on the cruise who know that you work on the cruise and know the guest, because I walked around with my name badge, so I had to behave. no, wait.
We went on the cruise, whatever, just had the time of our lives, and one night we were just out and like looking at the stars, and he was like, do you want to come back to Scotland with me? And I was like,
literally just like that.
I was like, yeah, why not? And we kind of were like just excited. He's like, okay, I'm gonna tell my parents, because he was still living with his parents at the time. And like it just, I don't know, we just kind of just got excited. We're like, okay, let's do this. And I think that's when we like really fell in love with
that
this trip.
Cruise, that 4-day cruise, like, and that sounds ridiculous, but we genuinely fell in love that 4-day cruise.
Yeah.
I met
but
a mum.
neither of us would admit it.
No.
That we were like in love.
No.
But we both kind of, we dropped all of our side bitches at this point. After this cruise, we're like, okay.
I met her mum for the first time, who is amazing, and I love very dearly, who's helped with our relationship more than anybody could ever imagine. Our whole family have. And like everyone of her family members, like from our aunts to stepbrothers, stepsisters, like cousins, like family that that live in different states, support us massively, which is something that I've never experienced in any relationship. And I have 7
brothers and sisters, so that's 7 people constantly just wanting to help.
Yeah. The day before I left to go on the cruise, obviously my mum and all that were crying, but my mum turned round and says to me, I know that you're going to come back for this cruise with a beautiful blonde American.
She said it, but didn't think it would actually happen.
She actually said it, and it actually, obviously, your parents just say that, like, oh, you'll find, like, I wasn't going on there to find someone. Brandy wasn't there. I was going on there to get out.
For the exact opposite
reason of what I actually came back with. Yeah, so the next part of the story is, so Brandy came on the cruise for the second time. We went on dates in between, but one of the dates I will never forget. Brandy threw me in at the deepest end you could ever be thrown in at. We go to walk inside and she turns to me in the car and she goes, I need to tell you something. And I'm like, what? And she's like, my whole family are in this restaurant and you're going to meet them. So
we were all kind of just going to go out for lunch anyways.
And it was just, I was there, we were going out.
And I was like, wow.
Which was fine, but I was like, I was shitting big bricks. So I walk into this restaurant, I say hi to everyone. But everyone was really nice, same again. No one really understood what I was saying because...
I was the translator.
I was nervous.
Yeah, at this point I could understand him a bit better, so I could like...
Oh, you were like the translator.
His contract ended on June 4th, and we just flew. I went and picked him up from the ship.
And she got a one-way ticket to Scotland.
Yeah, got a one-way ticket to Scotland, and... and like actually like a week into the trip, he had surprised me with like Demi Lovato, because I love Demi Lovato tickets. She was playing at the Hydro, which is like a big arena here. And we went, but we got a hotel room. So we went to the hotel room, and I'd already like gotten ready at like his parents' house, like, so I was like ready to go. I just want to go to the hotel and just like start drinking and like enjoying like our night.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh, why don't you shower as soon as we get to the hotel room? And I was like...
I'm like, you stink.
I had like a full face of makeup on. My hair was done. Like, I was ready to go. And he's like, why don't you shower? And I was like, I don't need to shower. I already showered.
I'm like, but you do.
I'm ready. And he's like, no, you like have to shower. Oh my God, this is where he kills me. And I was like, oh my God. And he's like, I'm going to run down to the car and you need to be in the shower when I get back. And I was like...
Wait, you actually thought I was going to kill you?
Yes! Remember, I FaceTimed my mom. So he's like, I'm going to go to the car and you better
Wait, what made you even think I was going to kill you?
Because you were, like, forcing me into the shower. And we're, like, in this hotel. I'm, like, in this strange city. And I'm like...
Oh, my God.
Oh, so... Anyway, so I'm like, okay, he wants me in the shower. And I'm like, okay. So he leaves. And I was like, fuck this. And I FaceTimed my mom. And I was like... Mom, you're gonna watch this. Like, I don't care. I'm in the shower. I'm naked. I don't care. You're watching me in case he comes in and tries to kill me. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, he's telling me I need to get in the shower. She's like, but you have a full face of makeup. I'm like, I know. I'm ready for this concert. And he's making me get in the shower. So I'm like, whatever. So I literally get in the shower. My mom's watching the whole thing. And I'm like, Mom, oh my God, I can hear him. He's coming back. And then he's like, don't come out. And I'm like, whispering to my mom, like, what the fuck? He's saying I can't come out. What do you think he's doing? And then... I was like, okay, I don't think he's up to anything like scary. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna let you go. He comes in, opens the door, and he's like, put this blindfold on. So he like, but it was a towel.
I'm setting you up.
But it was a towel.
It was a towel over your eyes.
So he puts the towel over my eyes and he's like, hold it. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, hold it, because he couldn't get it to tie on. And he's like, put this on. And he's like putting like a shirt on
top of over her head.
I have like the towel and he's still trying to put, and I'm like trying to get the towel and like the shirt, and oh my God, it was a whole thing. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then he's like, okay, come out here. And he's like dying laughing. And I'm like, and he's like, and hold this. So I'm holding my phone, I'm holding the towel, I have a shirt on, I don't know what it says. And he puts me in front of the mirror and he's like, okay, drop the towel. And I'm wearing a shirt and it says, will you be my girlfriend? I still have the shirt, actually.
You still wear it to bed?
Yeah, I wear it to bed. And I was like, bitch, I'm in Scotland! I thought we skipped that step. I guess. I'll be your girlfriend. I thought I already was.
She was just assuming that we were official, and I was like, nah. And then I had to like make it official by actually getting a shirt so she can relate back to it years later.
Yeah.
So now it makes sense.
But he put like rose petals all over.
Oh, I went the full 9 yards.
So that was basically the start of our story. So we just traveled and traveled, and I was supposed to originally go for like 3 weeks a month. I ended up staying for 3 months. Then went back to Florida. I had my sister's wedding, and so we had her bachelorette party. Nikki flew back for the wedding. She was in Florida for about a month. This is the longest we went without seeing each other. Between the end of September in January. So it was about 3 months that we went without seeing each other, and it was horrible. We tried to meet up, but things just got in the way.
And you know, like, you don't think as well, like, financially how much it costs for, like,
to keep going back
you
and
to
forth,
go to Florida for a month,
taking time off of work, saving up in between, and it is a lot.
Plane tickets are like a minimum, like,
and we always wanted to travel when we were together, so
yeah. So we went to like Mexico, Key West.
We went to Tenerife the first time I came over.
So we did.
We did a lot. Like we didn't really hold back at all, because we were just living life. We didn't know what our next move was going to be. When I came back to Scotland for the second time, we were like, this is what we're doing. Like
at that point, it was like reality set in after so many times of me going to Florida, so many times of Brandy being here, like so many times in months and weeks of us being apart. Even the time difference is like 5 hours. So Brandy would be finishing work at 12 o'clock at night. I was working my body clock in a cycle where it worked for Brandy.
And I was waking up really early, so before work I could talk to him. I could have more of my day to talk to him before I went to work again. It was just a lot. Just leading up to like where we are now, like there was just so many things that kept standing in our way, and it was really hard to make certain decisions. But you also find out who really supports you and who really is there for you when you're going through things like that, and bad times and sadness, and you really find out who actually cares for you. So it was a whole learning curve, really. So anyways, at this point we had already like been together a year, and we're like, okay, it's getting serious. So we're like, what are our options? Like, and we kind of just sat down and we would just talk, and we're like, well, we obviously don't want to do long distance anymore. It was horrible.
It was.
After being separated for 3 months, we were like, that can never happen again.
Horrible. See, the goodbyes at the airport were horrible.
He came to Florida on New Year's Eve, spent a month, and his Christmas present was that I was going back to Scotland with him at the end of his Florida trip. So then, so whatever, we did our time in Florida, had so much fun, but one night we just talked and we were like, what are we doing? Like, let's get married, basically.
Her parents sat us down and was like, right, what's going on? They allowed us to, Brandy to come to Scotland, stay in my parents' house, allowed me to go there and stay in their house. But I think this is a point where both our parents was like, right, what's going on? We see it's serious. You can't afford to keep going back and forth.
And they knew what it was like between the goodbyes.
Oh, they knew, like, because my parents had to deal with me coming home and crying for weeks on end. And it was the same with Brandy's parents, like, and it was affecting them as well. Then
we flew back together, back to Scotland, and we kind of started making little appointments here and there with like citizens advice. Like, we started really Googling, like, how do you even get married? Can you just get married? Like, what do you have to do? So we found out we needed a marriage visa, we needed this, we needed that, we had to get approved by this, and it was a whole thing. So we kind of were just taking notes at this point. We didn't really tell anyone because we didn't even know if it was something that was going to be able to happen. We didn't even know. We kind of wanted to give ourselves time to absorb it all before we brought anyone else into it. So it was so much to take in. We didn't know it was our lives at this point. And so we just kept taking notes and figuring out step by step, slowly but surely. We booked an appointment with the register office.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, like, let's even figure out the cost now. Like, we know the steps we have to take and the price for the lawyers and the paperwork and all that, but let's figure out the cost for actually to get married and get that side of the paperwork. And when we were in there, they were like, we can't give you the paperwork until you just pick a date. You have to pick a date, you have to put a deposit down, but we can't give you any information until you pick a date. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna pick a date. And I was like, how does September 5th sound? And I was like, whatever. So we picked that date.
And it was like a Thursday.
And we were like, whatever. So it was a Thursday. I was like, it's never gonna happen that date, whatever. So I get the paperwork and I was like, how do we tell our parents that we have this paperwork now?
But what happened was, we originally needed to get a marriage visa, which was like £1,200, but Brandy managed to speak to someone at the register office. Brandy was already here, because if you apply for it, Brandy'd have to fly back home to Florida to apply for it, get accepted, then fly here and get married, but Brandy was already here. So the woman at the register office was a lot of help and just said, maybe chance it and just write a letter to the
Home Office.
The Home Office, so explaining the situation.
She was amazing. Dawn at the Hamilton office. She helped us so much. She helped us write the letter. She was like, oh, she was amazing. And that's actually who ended up marrying us. She helped so much, and she just told me what to put, and she, like, to help
a handwritten letter, by the way.
Yeah, so we hand wrote it. We sent in all of our boarding passes because we saved them all, pictures of us. We had to screenshot text messages from, like, with dates and times.
Just to prove your relationship
is real.
But if you send all that information in, the Home Office can turn around and say no. They can't turn around and say no, but they can
say at this time it's not approved. Like, you have to get a lawyer or whatever.
Yeah.
We tell our parents, listen, we've been doing this, we've been taking steps, and honestly, like, Nikki's parents were like, you were lying, like, you never, like, you didn't tell us you were going to do this. And then my mom found out. My mom was a little like, why didn't you tell me? And I was like, well, I just explained it, and, like, they ended up understanding. Why.
I think the parents just felt not betrayed, but they missed out on things, and actually we just went in there just to find out information.
We knew that they didn't
was set in stone.
They didn't miss out on anything. It wasn't anything exciting. The exciting part was finding out if we could, getting that yes or no. We knew that it was going to take between, like, 3 to 9 weeks to get this email back that we can get married. But you have 1 month after that you get that email to get married.
You need to be married within a month. 1 month.
So I told my family, and they booked a flight, and they were like, okay. So I was like, we were hoping that it was going to happen the first time they came over. So we were like, it was a hit or miss, and they knew that coming over that it possibly couldn't have happened. I didn't have a dress. I didn't have anything.
Nothing. We had
At
nothing.
this point, we thought we were getting married in just the register office, having a courthouse wedding. My family came over. It was only going to be 10 people in a room, and this was before coronavirus. It was just, we just wanted to keep it really small because we just wanted to be married so we could live together.
We never had a big wedding planned. We just thought we want to just get Brandy sorted here. She can live here. She can work here. We can live together, and we don't need to do any of this BS
long
again.
Distance.
We can be together, like, with the right heads on us, and we knew exactly what we were doing. And look at us now.
Yeah.
That is what I love.
Yeah. So then my family came over, and we were like, I was like, listen, we might not get approved at this point, whatever. If we don't, then we don't. But the register office was like, we kind of have a spot saved for you guys. Like, if it happens, they knew, Dawn knew that my family was coming over, that we wanted it to happen that right when they came over. But we knew that the wedding was coming. So
we just didn't know when.
Yeah. So it kind of was like a little bit of like
a wing and a prayer.
Yeah. It was a little bit of touring Scotland, a little bit of planning a wedding, a little bit of this and that. And at the airport.
It was crazy.
At the airport, when we were dropping them off, they were only here for a week. We were dropping them off at the airport, and we were checking in their bags, and I reloaded my emails. And that morning, we were dropping them off from the airport. I got an email saying that we got approved to get married, and they were leaving.
You couldn't make this up. You couldn't. And I hope people watch this going, wow, that's crazy. You couldn't even make it up.
No.
You couldn't make, they were checking, I'm going to use my flip-flop as an example. They were putting their bags onto the weight thing to give their boarding passes and get their passports, and Brandy just did that, and it approved, and she's like, look, and I went, I'm like, they're leaving.
It was horrible. So I was like, they're not going to be at the wedding. I accepted that they weren't going to be there. My mom said that she was going to try to come back, because obviously she didn't want to miss my wedding, but it was getting time off of work, and it was a whole thing. And so she was like, I don't care what it takes. I'm gonna be at the wedding. So you let me know, like, what the date is, like, how everything gets, like, planned out, whatever. So we end up going to the register office, like, the next day, and
we still had to get married within the month.
Yeah, we had to get married within the month. So my family knew that.
But
we stuck with that September 5th date.
Yeah.
And because it ended up, like, everything was already booked at that point, because we only had a month, and September 5th was the only thing that wasn't fully booked.
So basically,
we didn't want to get married on a Thursday, but whatever.
We went from...
We were just happy to get married.
We went from we were going to get married in the register office to having a full-scale wedding within a month.
With a lot of thanks to your mom. She knows a lot of people. You know
She
a lot of
cooked
people.
favours, aye.
Yeah, and
But also, remember, Brandy's family were just here like a few weeks before, so
literally
it cost a lot of money to fly back
3
over.
weeks before.
3 weeks before, yeah.
And then came back. Unfortunately, my grampy and my older sister Allison couldn't make it back. But my Aunt Tina ended up making it back. My mom, my stepdad, my little sister, and my older sister Kaylee. And a hurricane was coming. And they were like, basically the hurricane was only gonna hit Florida. So they just needed to get out of Florida. So they were gonna fly to Georgia. They were gonna fly to New York. They just needed to get out of Florida because they were gonna have to shut down the airport when the hurricane came because flights wouldn't have been able to go. So they were planning and planning and planning, had to totally rebook their flights for a different day, had to leave a day earlier before the hurricane, just missed the hurricane, and then...
You got a phone call saying that your mum said, or was it your
They
mum?
were like, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but I don't know if we're going to make it.
The wedding, they weren't going to make the wedding.
It was horrible. And by some luck, they ended up making it. They were able to change their flights around, get out the day before the hurricane came, and they made it here in time. We planned a full-blown wedding.
A full wedding.
They were also, at this point, let's keep in mind, Nikki hadn't even proposed to me yet, and when they were here the first time, we were like, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. So we were like bringing them to like my family nice places, and we thought for sure he was gonna do it. And we didn't care about the rings, honestly, because there was so much money that was going out at that time. We didn't care to pay for rings. And since we were just getting married in the register office, we were like, we don't care, that piece of paper means more than the ring. We can get the ring later when we're not shoveling out thousands and thousands of pounds. So we're like, we weren't worried about the ring. So when my family was here the first time, we're like, we were kind of waiting though, because we thought for sure he was going to propose, because my sisters were like, you're not getting married without a ring. You're getting a ring on your finger. I don't care if it's from Claire's. You're getting a ring on your finger. And
Claire's.
And they were like,
that's how accepting Brandy was. She was like, she said, Claire's, I don't care.
Yeah, I honestly, it got to the point where I was like, I want a ring on my finger.
I was about to give her a jelly ring from
I was
Haribo.
like, I don't care. Go to Warren James and get me a ring. I don't care. But anyway, so my family didn't, they weren't here for it. And we were like, whatever, it's not gonna happen. I remember we were in Loch Lomond and crying in the bathroom, and I was like, he's not gonna propose. I'm not gonna have a ring. What am I doing? Why am I gonna get married without a ring? And oh, whatever. So, which disaster. I really didn't care, but when you have other people like, you don't have a ring on your finger, like then I'm kind of like, should I care? And then I just ended up getting so emotional, and it was such a stressful time anyways. So then they leave, and 2 weeks later, Nikki ends up proposing to me, which I posted on my Instagram stories. We've always talked about it at Trump Turnberry. So he ended up proposing to me. My family was like, oh my God, thank God. And
I asked, obviously, our father and our stepfather's permission. And also, she got the ring that she asked for originally. So she never got one for Claire's. She never got a jelly ring. Yeah. She got the expensive...
rocks.
The ring didn't matter the price. It's what she deserved. After everything that she done, like she sacrificed for us.
So
I could have put a 100 grand ring on her, but it still didn't matter to me. It's what she wanted, and if I could give her the moon at the sky and put it on her finger, then I would. And that's what I done, but it was a wee bit cheaper. So technically we were only engaged for 4 days.
Is it 4?
I don't know, you always say 4.
I always say 4, but I feel like it might have been longer.
It must have been a week at least.
Maybe.
I know,
I
4 sounds better though.
I think it was 4.
I
don't know.
We'll check.
Yeah, we'll check the dates.
We went from getting married in an office of 10 people to having
a fairy tale wedding.
Everything. We just said,
fuck it.
Exactly. We just said, fuck it.
Technically, we are not married in Florida. We are only married in Scotland, in
United
the UK.
Kingdom, yeah.
And that is another step. So after we got married in September, we were only married a few months, and we were like, okay, you know what? Let's we'll honeymoon. After we got married, we ended up going back to Florida. We honeymooned. We did the whole thing, and then we came back, chilled out, and we were like, okay, after Christmas, in the new year, we're gonna go see the lawyer, we're gonna do everything and get this done with and actually do things the right way. So into the new year, we
speak to a lawyer.
We started seeing a lawyer, speaking to him. We met with him like 3 times. We're like, okay, let's get the ball rolling. We were just about to start doing all the paperwork, whatever. We were ready to put down the money, like we were ready to go. And then coronavirus hit, and he's been shut ever since. And no lawyer will see us now because technically Nikki's not working right now, and he can't prove that he can support me, even though he's been doing it for 3 years. And it's just a whole thing. So
it's a whole rigmarole, basically.
I can't work here right now legally because
she doesn't have the papers to do it.
I don't have the work visa and whatever. So,
and it costs a lot of money. And it's not even, we've got the money. It's not even about the money. It's about you.
Just because we've saved it, we've already like
basically
had it there. We're ready to pay for it.
If we're being honest, it's like £6,000 to get Brandy's visas, which is fine. There's a lot behind the scenes that people don't see. People just assume that when we get married that Brandy can work here and that's it. But that's not the case.
What's left on our to-do list? We have Nikki's visa in Florida. So we want to each have dual citizenship. So we can kind of go back and forth
like a green
freely.
card.
So he can work there, I can work here. Basically just open-ended. So we can go wherever we want. So we have to get Nikki's a green card. We have to get my visas to work and live here. After we get my visa, we have to check back in 2.5 years, and then so that's 5 years total. And then I'll be able to work here and live here freely. So no, I cannot work here. Technically, I can't stay here for more than 6 months at a time, but because of coronavirus, they're kind of giving me a little bit of a leeway on that. And Nikki still has to get his green card in order to work and stay longer than 6 months in Florida.
But it's nice for you to put a long video like this together
on
YouTube for the people that had been interested. That there's a lot that goes on, but when you love each other, it's like you don't care, you just do it together. And
we just know that we'll never be separated ever again. We've always said that.
We say it all the time.
What it takes, we will live in our cars. We will never, ever, ever be separated.
Oh no, like there's times when we talk about like the worst case scenario, like if the Home Office came and like took Brandy away and took her in the airport, I'd be like, I would pack up everything. Me and Belle would be over there in a heartbeat. And thanks to the people that come on this channel and support Brandy. She loves it. And it makes her comments are amazing. It makes her happy. It gives her something to look forward to. And it's nice because it's like, it's not even like people that support me. It's the people that support her, and she can come on here and I feel like you need to be open. Like when you're telling about your relationship, we need to talk about how much your visa is.
No,
people want to know.
It kind of gives people a better understanding. Of why we are where we're at. And why certain things aren't done and whatever. So hopefully the end result is after coronavirus, we can meet with a lawyer again. Nikki can get back to work, prove that he can support me. I can get my visas. We can work and live here. We do want to live here. We have like a good like 5-year plan, I would say, just depending on where Nikki's career goes. But that's not to say things won't change. We do eventually want to end up living in Florida. That's the goal. But for now...
But the nice thing is that we can just go there whenever we want, and we love it there so I love it. I love it so much.
But I feel like I haven't even honestly gotten like a fighting chance here, because we were just like planning a wedding and like doing long distance and traveling, but then we got married, and then we got a little bit of freedom here and a little bit of stability. And we have our own house, like we were ready to like live life, and then boom, we were put in lockdown. So I've spent more time in lockdown here than I have.
You sound like you're in jail.
I know, but it's the truth.
It is.
So I really want a chance here. I'd love to buy a house, and I would love to get a life here, but things have to open back up in order to do that. And I'm not gonna hold on to that little bit of hope. If it doesn't happen soon, then we're out of here.
Basically, like, the way I look at it is if things are not back to some sort of normality by June, where I need to, basically I need to go to my work and earn the money that I was earning. I genuinely feel like, and we spoke to like my parents about it, we spoke to Brandy's parents, we spoke to my grandparents, if we're not out of this and back to some sort of normality by June, I think we'll be off.
If it was up to Nikki, I think right now we'd be gone.
If it was up to me, I would be away right now. Just to do with making the right decisions at the right time, and COVID has just put a big, massive stop in all our plans. But I think we believe that everything is meant, everything in our life happens for a reason, for a reason. We say that all the time.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a thing that I believed in or thought of before I met you. And then our relationship's just been like that, and I've been like, okay.
Well, because it's literally proved it to us. So everything happens.
And if we didn't get married the September that we got married and make decisions like there and then,
we would, and we talk about that all the time. Like if coronavirus hit and we were still doing long distance, we wouldn't be able to see each other. Because the only reason we can travel together, is because we're married and we have to bring our marriage certificate whenever we travel to prove that we're married. So thank God everything happened the way it did. We pushed it.
I love you.
Love you.
And we've still a long way to go, and I feel like
we're only halfway there right now.
This YouTube channel is something that, if you guys are interested, we'll bring you on the ride, and we'll be honest and upfront with you, and we'll talk about ups and downs and problems and how much it costs with things.
So that's it. So if you have any more questions, hopefully we covered everything. We kind of skipped a few parts. Thinking back now, there's a few parts, but it's okay. We told all the important stuff anyways. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Hello, it's me.
It's me.
It's us.
I know.
So he ended up.
No, wait. I had to behave, and I did. No, because what if they watch us want to hire me again?
You'll go do another 8-month contract?
Bye.